Hello students, I am Pushprata Miss. Welcome to my channel. I hope you all are safe at home. Stay home and stay safe. Let us continue lesson number 7, New Ideas and New Religions. Today our topic is Lord Mahavira and Jainism. Vardhamana Mahavira was born in 599 BCE at Kundagram in Vaishali district of Bihar. Okay, he was born to Siddhartha, the head of a Kshatriya clan, and Trishala, the princess of a Lichavi clan. He is believed to be the last of the 24th Tirthankaras are the great teachers. The first Tirthankara was Rishabha Deva. Mahavira left his home at the age of 30 and 12 years he held a solitary life to attain enlightenment. He wandered from place to place and one day in deep meditation he attained the highest knowledge. His enlightenment made him to known as the Jina or the conqueror. He passed away at the age of 72. Okay, this is all about Mahavira. And next is Jainism. The teachings of the three Tirthankaras are the foundation of the Jain religion. The word Jain comes from the term Jina, meaning conqueror. Mahavira is the most famous thinker of the Jains. Then the teachings of Mahavira were simple. He believed in leading a simple life, and he put great stress on ahimsa. According to him, men, animals, plants, stones, wind and fire and souls had souls. Okay? Therefore, animals, insects, birds should not be harmed. He did not believe in the caste system. He did not believe in rituals and sacrifices. According to Mahavira, the true purpose of life was to set the soul free and not to be born again in this world. Okay, this he believed could be achieved by following the Triratnas or three jewels of life, that is, right path, right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct or action. Mahavira believed in the theory of karma. He urged his disciples to follow the 5 principles. They are ahimsa, not to injure any living being. Next, satya, to speak the truth. Asteya, not to steal. And aparigraha, non-possession, means not to own property. And brahmacharya, to lead a virtuous life. Okay. Next, Mahavira and his followers used Prakrits so that the common people could understand their teaching without any difficulty. Then, spread of Jainism. After the death of Mahavira, Jainism split into 2 sects, that is Digambara and Svetambaras. The former are the sky-clad, those who do not wear any clothes, while the latter are the white-clad, those who wear only white clothes. Okay, Jainism spread to different parts of India, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and to Nepal as well. Jainism was patronized by many Indian kings in the past, such as Bimbisara, Ajatasattu, and Chandragupta Maurya. Jain art flourished under the patronage of these kings. Next, Jain art means statues. The statue of the Jain saint Gomateshwara at Shravan Belgola in Karnataka is one of the most renowned works of Jain art. Then temples. The Dilwara temple at Mount Abu in Rajasthan has been described a Dream on Marble, while the Adinath temple in Ranakpur is another example of beautiful architecture. Then literature. The teachings of Lord Mahavira were originally transmitted orally or many years. They were written down at a place called Vallabhi in Gujarat about 1500 years ago. Jain religious literature can be found in books known as Purvas and Angas, and these include epics, novels, and dramas. Next, common thread: Buddhism and Jainism. Both Mahavira and the Buddha felt that only those who left their homes in order to attain enlightenment and became monks could gain true knowledge. So the arrangements were made for disciples to stay together in sanghas. According to Vinaya Pitaka in Pali book, both men and women could live in sanghas, but there were separate branches for them. Children had to get permission from their parents and servants from their masters before joining a sangha. Those who worked for the king had to take his permission under debtors that are creditors. Women had to get permission from their husbands before they became disciples. Next, men and women who joined the Sangha used to roam the streets of cities and villages for begging during fixed hours. They were called bhikkhus, the Prakrit word for beggars. Male beggars are known as bhikkhus and female beggars are known as bhikkhunis. Okay? They taught others and helped one another. They also held regular meetings to discuss the teachings of their teachers. Those who joined the Sangha include Brahmins, Kshatriyas, merchants, laborers, barbers, and slaves. Many of them wrote down the teachings of the Buddha. Some of them also composed beautiful poems describing their life in the Sangha. All the members of the Sangha enjoyed equal status without any consideration about their wealth and status in society, caste or level of knowledge. All had to abide by the rule of the Sangha. Next, viharas and monasteries. Both Jain and Buddhist monks went from place to place spreading the principles of their teachers throughout the year except during rainy season. It was very difficult to travel during the rainy season. During this season, they stayed in temporary shelters or natural caves. With time, they realized the need for permanent shelters, and so monasteries were built. These were known as viharas. Separate residences were built for nuns and monks. The lands on which the viharas were built were usually donated by rich merchants or landowners or the king. People used to gift food, clothing, and medicines to the monks and nuns, and in return, the monks would teach the people. Next, elsewhere at the same time, Zoroaster was an Iranian prophet. Teachings of Zoroaster are contained and in the Avesta. The practices described in the Avesta are similar to those of the Vedas. Zoroaster believed that one can create peace and tranquility by means of strength, rule of truth, and good thinking. For more than 8,000 years, Zoroastrianism was a major religion in Iran. Later, some Zoroastrians migrated from Iran and settled down in the coastal towns in Gujarat and Maharashtra. They came to be known as Parsis in India. Okay, students, thank you. Again, you read from Lord Mahavira. You can understand easily. Thank you.